How's it going, everybody? It's Vito from Perfect Storm Gaming, and this is Sean and Chris O'Leary. If you gentlemen wouldn't mind just giving a quick synopsis as to who you are, why we're speaking to you, and what is it we're going to be talking. Well, we're going to be talking about a lot of shit today, but just give me a quick synopsis as to who you gentlemen are and you know what you've experienced.
Well, the aliens, the great aliens, all right. For whatever reason, they took our little family and made us part of their big plans. Starting with my mother in 1959, our mother, 1959, before we were born, she was abducted into a triangle craft that appeared over her head as she was walking the family dog. And then she was missing for hours and hours. She was about 12. And when we grew up, the reason we know this is because when we grew up, we were at my grandparents' house a lot, and anytime a story about a UFO or a sighting or anything, showed up on the local news or just got mentioned, our grandparents would be like, "Oh, yeah, you see, it's just like that thing that happened with Rose, right? You see that? UFOs, isn't that wild?" And they just kept saying it again and again. I don't think the reality of it or the severity of it ever really set in with them. It's like, oh, one of those things. Yeah. But what happened, she was walking their poodle, and she only was, 200-300 yards from home, just across the main street and down to the next corner. Sunny afternoon, and suddenly she's in shadow, and she sees the shadow has edges and it crosses the whole road. She looks up, and above her was a triangle craft. And over the years, we pressed her for any details. She said it was graphite gray, like a dark graphite kind of look. And that it was in sections. It wasn't a smooth one-piece thing, that there were lines where it was, put together. And there were 3 recessed circles at the corners that she assumed were maybe lights. But it was off because it was the middle of the afternoon. And she's looking up at it. As a young girl, she couldn't imagine how it was in the air, how it was just hovering there, because there was no visible means of propulsion or support. There was no downrush of air on her or anything. It was silent, and it was just hovering there. She said it was so close, if she had a ladder, she could climb up and touch it. But as she's looking up, it wasn't like, a mile up or 30,000 feet. In our situation, through our life, it's a UFO because it's about 30 feet in the air, 50. We're not like, what's that way up there? But anyway, so my mother was looking up, and in the center, there was a hatch, a rectangular hatch. It was open, and she's looking up, and it is complete blackness. That's all she sees is blackness. And then the next thing she saw was that she was on that street, but it was dark, completely dark, and it was summer, so it doesn't get dark till late.
Right.
And she doesn't have the dog. And she's completely disheveled. She's staggering home just as her parents are getting in the car to go search street by street for her and go to the police, probably. Now, this was the 1950s, 59. We're in a little town where nothing happened, so
right.
You don't leap to foul play. But after she didn't show up, and she's never late for dinner, they started calling her friends. None of her friends had seen her.
And the dog came home.
And then the dog came home on his own.
Okay, I was going to ask about the dog. Like, Jesus Christ, did they keep the dog? It's crazy.
And then, no, it was really an ornery dog. It was a full-size poodle.
They definitely gave it back. Definitely gave it back, yeah.
Yeah, but so that's how long they've involved us. They started taking me in 1966. They started taking, Sean was born in 70, so they started taking him 73, 74 with one spectacular abduction event that involved our whole family one day. So, yeah, that's why we're here. We have spent how many hours with these things? 1,000?
Something like that. You
Yeah.
know?
And
Well
is
more
it-
than 100 abductions each.
Sure.
Do you know if, because it's rumored that these things, that abductions and things like that are hereditary, and clearly it is with your mom and with you two.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know if it's if I mean, clearly I'm going to assume your grandparents are long since passed and moved on to better place. Do you know if they have experienced anything? Or I know back then people don't talk about that stuff. So
Yeah, as far as we know, that's we no, we don't know anyway.
Well, her father died in fighting in the Pacific Theater.
okay.
So she didn't really even know him.
Oh wow, that sucks. I'm sorry.
But if you want my opinion, I don't think this abduction phenomenon goes back past when they showed up en masse after World War II in the late 40s. That's when all this ramped up. And some people say, well, there's ancient aliens and there's abductions in the Bible and all those religions. But one, if you look at those abductions and the descriptions, the aliens, they do not resemble the Greys whatsoever, whether you're talking the Anunnaki or the four-headed being that took Ezekiel, things like that. And it may have something to do with the fact that we became a nuclear power and they decided to ramp up whatever plans they had. I'm just guessing. And I don't like to guess. We don't like to guess because we know quite a bit. But you'll notice there are no abductions in the Roaring '20s. There are no abductions in the Civil War. It's like you don't read letters from dearest Lulabelle. It is with deep heart that I write to you, and I express our confidence that our coming foray into Gettysburg will be easy as pie. Shouldn't anybody get hurt there, because we've got... Oh, and by the way, I saw this saucer ship. They took me aboard. They were emaciated little fellows, interested in parts of me that even you have not explored, my dearest Lulabelle. There's none of that. This started in, the Roswell times.
Right. And for you guys, it's been going on for as long as you've been. Like, how old were you when you remember your first abduction, Sean?
I was 3 going on 4.
Wow. And Chris, for you?
The same, actually. In '66, I was 3 years old. And the way I can distinguish how old I was during some of these is where we were living, because my parents were young and we moved from apartment to apartment almost every year until we settled down when Sean came along.
Wow. So it's been going on for that long. So it's going on for basically the majority of the bulk of your lives. And is it a frequent occurrence? Is it like a weekly thing? Is it just, are there long periods of time that go where you guys don't get taken and or is it like, is it current? Is it common? Is it frequent? Like, how often?
For Sean has been taken recently, even.
Jesus Christ.
Sure, and I would say when I was younger, it was more frequent. However, they're so good at what they do, they could have gotten me last night and I just don't even remember it. They're great at covering up your memories. They don't want us to remember. And if it weren't for a mistake, we wouldn't even remember. So if it were up to them, we would still have no idea. And I got to believe that there's a lot of people around the world who are being abducted who have absolutely no idea it's happening to them. That's how good these aliens are. They're very confident of what they're doing, and they're very good at it.
And you guys have seen numerous different species, right? Which species have you guys seen? You've seen grays, and I know mantids, correct? Or mantis species?
Well, I have. Sean, it's...
Yeah, for me, it's been the short grays and the tall grays. And there was an occasion where there were 2 that seemed like they were in between. They were just shorter than I was. I'm just about 6 feet tall, and they were, maybe a couple of inches shorter than me, which is unusual, I think.
And you said that they were a mixture, so maybe those are hybrids, correct? Like you guys, I believe, Chris, you said you have a child, right? I've heard this story. So that's where I heard you guys in one of the spaces on Twitter.
Yes,
you guys have
absolutely.
a hybrid child, correct?
Sean was introduced to 4 small beings that could have been hybrids, but there are intermediate grays. There is the 5'5" or something gray, and it's not just short and it's not just tall.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that there's between 5 and 6 feet, and there's the 3 feet tall ones. Now, do you know if there's a hierarchy between them? Like, is there a difference? Or what is the difference between the grays? I've heard some of them are clones. I've heard some of them are not clones. I've heard some of them are autonomous, like worker bees. I've heard so many different things. What can you guys tell me about the grays, or the grays that you've dealt with?
We can tell you a lot about the grays. First of all, the tall grays are over 7 feet tall. Okay. Then there's these intermediate ones, which resemble more the tall grays to me.
Yeah.
With the drawn face rather than the short grays, which are almost cartoonish, quite frankly.
Really?
I saw them every time they come. You don't remember them. Okay. They come for you all the time. And so every time they show up, you're shocked. You're just, what are these? These can't be real. They just blow your mind. I'm like, that can't be alive, that thing. There's a tall gray. The craft landed, this one that we share, this one, because they don't always take you together.
This one was my first abduction that I recall anyway. I mean, it could have happened prior to, and I just don't remember. I was, quite frankly, very young for this one to be able to remember it.
Yeah, and there was a tall gray walking to the house in broad daylight about 11 a.m. and a short gray. And I'm looking at the short gray, and I thought, I was maybe 10 at the time, 10 or 11, going on 11. And I remember my thoughts. And my thoughts were, this can't be real. That thing can't really be walking.
Yeah.
Because their limbs were literally broomsticks. The legs were broomstick thin. The arms were broomstick thin. There appeared to be absolutely no muscular structure that would enable these things to just be walking along.
Are
they strong, being that frail looking?
That's
are they
funny
like
you
deceptively strong?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned. I didn't want to interrupt Chris, but I was gonna say they're stronger than they look.
Okay.
They are.
And then do they have okay, so you guys have been on the ship. Is there do you remember smells, any other senses you like? Is it humid on the ship? Is it warm? Is it feels great? Is it like, describe for me anything you can about the ship other than visual? Like, what does it smell like? Does the air have a weird taste to it? I know these seem like strange questions, but
no, they don't.
When you're in situations like that, all of your, especially in my situation, I'm a fireman. I'm sure, Sean, can I mention what you do for a living?
Sure.
Okay. As a policeman, you've been in situations where time seems to slow. Everything seems to be enhanced. Your sight, your hearing, your senses, you taste things. Like, run me through what you guys are going through as far as when you're standing in the presence of these. Because I couldn't even imagine the feeling of just fear, just in general, just, what you guys are going through. It's got to be fucking scary.
Every time it's different. Have I noticed like an atmosphere difference inside of a craft? One time I have, but typically no. Typically it's normal. There's nothing that really alerts me to notice a difference. Nothing stands out to me except one time. And that time it was a little bit more humid inside the craft, I would say, probably. That's how I would describe it. Maybe the air felt a little bit thicker or heavier. And
with me, there was only one incident, and it was way back in 1968. When we went up to the craft for a minute, the air was a little bit chemically. That's not even a word. It's had a chemical smell, almost like a disinfectant smell. But it was only once. And another thing was the air or the sound was tinny. Like, I don't know if there was an atmosphere difference or something like that, but
maybe you're in a different craft, possibly.
Oh, we've been on.
Yeah,
we've been on like 50 different ships.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Oh,
yeah. It's like, they show up like people show up with different cars.
They do. Sometimes they've got the small loaner, and
Yeah.
My
sometimes
Cadillac is the rental.
Sometimes they bring the Winnebago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is my rental orb. So, all right.
For example, we've had ones land in our backyard that they look like an Airstream trailer. You know those chrome 1950s, but up on its up end. It wasn't huge. It was only about as big as like a UPS truck or something.
Okay, so you had one of the cylinder or cigar ones, like a tube, and you said it was standing upright, like it wasn't on its side, it was upright.
It was upright, but it wasn't a cylinder. It was big around. It was a little. There were no sharp corners for the most part. The Greys don't like sharp corners. They don't like 90-degree angles. And they're not on the ships, not on the craft, not in the design. They're very organic. And it was on two landing struts that folded under in our backyard, and a hatch opened, almost cliche-like, and there were a couple of steps down. And inside, there was a central pole with a seat around it, and that's where they sat, the four of us, around this pole, and they were in a trance. I was a little more awake. Well,
that's when they took your family? You said they took your whole family, right?
Well, all except for our dad, who was working at the time. Yeah, they sure did. And yeah.
You said four of you.
Seeing it landed in the yard. Chris had a different vantage point than I did. I was in a different room.
Yeah, there's another family member.
Okay.
But
no problem.
We are willingly talking about this.
Gotcha. Okay, no, I understand. Listen, a lot of people don't want to talk about it because it's either A, it's embarrassing, B, they think that they're going to be called crazy, or C, they just are scared shitless and don't want to talk about it. So I understand completely. Protecting their privacy.
Yeah,
now,
so that was one. I have seen a giant cylinder. It was the size of 2 or 3 jumbo jets if they were all connected into one, with no tail section.
Oh, wow.
And I only saw it once. It went zipping down our street. Okay, there have been more alien ships on Elizabeth Lane, our street. We've had 2 residences on that street. There have been more ships there than there ever were in Roswell. Huh. You're talking hundreds of abductions in this neighborhood. That's just us. And we've recently run into a guy who was maybe half a mile from us, and he was taken throughout his childhood. So this is an absolute hotspot
from a nearby town.
Yes, we're at the north end of the Hudson Valley in New York, which has been an enormous UFO and abduction hotspot forever. I mean, we go back to the Rip Van Winkle, who woke up and was missing, 20 years. That Washington Irving was right here in the Hudson Valley. Whitley Strieber was taken maybe 80 miles from us in the Hudson Valley.
Really?
And yes. Yeah. And in the 1980s, from 82 to 85, there were so many mass sightings, over 25,000 witnesses, and so many that J. Allen Hynek came to write a book about it and compile data. He wrote the book. It was called Night Sea. She wrote it with another man. But they found as they started investigating, they were not only getting spectacular, clear UFO sightings, they were getting alien contact and abduction reports from these people. Wow. And Hynek refused to put any data of alien abductions in the book. His co-writer disagreed, but Hynek's Hynek. He said, "Why? This is what we're running into. Are they suddenly unbelievable witnesses? Because
Right? Why not tell the truth? I don't understand that. Why wouldn't you want to tell the truth? Is he embarrassed?
I think that's happening today with a lot of investigators. They will believe you if you say you saw an object in the sky, a light in the sky for 10 seconds. You tell them you saw an alien, they don't want anything to do with you.
Right. I think at that time, Hynek felt, first of all, he was old. Second of all, he was a professional liar. Let's not forget that. He worked for the Air Force, and his job was to lie to people and tell them nothing happened. He's the author of the quote swamp gas. Mass sighting in Michigan, and he wrote it was swamp gas.
Yeah, swamp ass. I call it swamp ass reflecting off your balls is what I call it. It's all like nonsense. Like, come on, bro.
And so his job was to keep all this quiet, and he did switch teams and create NICAP, and they had a lot of reputable reports. They were a great database, but only of ships. They don't want to hear who's inside them. They don't want to hear anything about it. And Hynek, I think, his take was that, if we talk about aliens, we'll lose people. They won't believe us. And look, if you're talking about ships with windows, there's things inside them.
What's looking out the window?
Yeah, what's looking out the windows? AI?
Yeah, they say it's intelligently controlled. By whom?
By the intelligent beings in it.
Yeah.
Okay? And yes, we've been in triangles, mostly saucers or saucer variations. Some of them smaller, some of them large. When they took me in, before Sean was born, on Spring Street, we were right next to the Victorian row houses, with a little driveway space in between. The fucking saucer turned sideways like a wheel and lowered itself. It was bobbing and spinning in between our two houses. There weren't 20 feet between my window and the neighbor's window. Just a one-lane driveway with a car. And they didn't care.
They don't seem to give a fuck. That's some scary shit, man.
I think they have the ability to keep people. They can control your mind. I don't know what you know about the Greys, but they control your mind.
I don't know much of anything. Only what I've heard. Are they kind to you? Are they indifferent? Are they like? Please explain to me how they are towards you guys, because that's kind of what I like. Do you feel as though it's malintent? Do you feel the intent is kind? Is it like, what do you guys feel or think about it? Because it scares the shit out of me, to be honest with you.
Well, I think what they're doing is for their benefit. They're accomplishing whatever they want to do. However, they are nice, at least to us. We've heard nightmare encounters from other abductees. I don't want to speak for any of them, but they've been nicer than you would think they would be. And certainly not nicer than they have to be. They don't have to say anything to you. They don't have to answer any questions.
True.
They can just grab you and go, paralyze you and go. But they will talk to you. They will have small talk. They will greet you when they get there. I would consider them friendly if you're friendly to them.
Okay. Do they tell you their names? Do they say, listen, this is do they ever give you a reason as to why they're doing this to you guys?
Yeah. They are taking over this planet, and they are moving in. And the purpose of the abductions are to create hybrids that can replace us, that can live here, look completely human, and slowly squeeze us out. The hybrids look, at this point, after generations and generations of tinkering, well past our generations of hybrids. They're indistinguishable, but they're completely aliens on the inside. They control your mind, just like the other aliens, and they're completely linked with all the other aliens. But we don't agree. But the Greys, the tall Greys, have told me this. For people who think they've always lived here and they live in the bottom of the sea where they made spaceships out of what? Kelp and discarded Pepsi bottles? Is that what they're making them out of?
I don't know. I heard
Okay.
the same thing you heard about the mothership that's under the ground in the Bahamas, and it attacks other ships, and if you get near it, it'll delete you, and
They'll
that's some
delete
scary
you.
shit.
That's another thing. If you notice, as this phenomenon has crept in the computer age, all these computer terms come up. Delete you, download. They give you a download of information. They don't allow you access to your memories. It's just turning into. It's just a sign of the times. You know, there weren't computer references when we started because there were no computers. But, and anyway, the Tall Grays told me this, and this is verbatim, and they said it to me several times over the course of years, and I don't think it was the same gray every time. They said, and he gestures, you know, bigly with his hands, and he says, soon we will all live here together, and everyone will know his place.
Well, that's kind of fucking scary. That's basically saying you guys are going to be our slaves again, which is what the rumor was with the Anunnaki and all that shit, where we were a slave race used for work and whatever else they used us for. Is that part of it? Do you think?
Well, I don't go back to ancient aliens. You know, we fought. It's like we were on the beaches of Normandy, and you don't. If you say to them, "Hey, how about that Peloponnesian War?" What? I can only talk about the battles we've been in, the war we've been in with these things in our lifetime. I don't like to go back that far. I don't think the Anunnaki were these. I really don't. None of it fits, not the description, not the ships. But the sentiment I get, I do know this, everyone will know his place. Well, we know where our place is with the Greys right now, and that is a mind-controlled puppet who will do whatever they tell me to do, and they can do anything they want to. For a lot of people,
and you can't forget they've got their own class system. Everybody says, "Oh, they're so advanced that they're going to be kind to everyone." Well, tell that to the short grays, because they're absolutely terrified of the tall gray. You know, he didn't get that position because he scored higher on the civil service exam like you and I did. He's there because he's the tall gray and they're the short grays. They do what they're told.
So it's almost like a sign of racism, kind of. Between, it's, if you think about it, honestly, it's like, oh, I'm a tall gray, you know, and you know he's a little gray, and you know, and then the Mantids. You said, I remember you guys saying, or one of you guys, I think it was you, Chris. You said the Mantises were like
they're the top of the food chain, top of the totem pole.
They don't want to be seen.
Top of the totem pole, as far as I know. But what do I know? But we know more than 99% of the population with our experience. And yeah, the Mantis are the tops. The tall grays work for the Mantis. The short grays work for the tall grays. It's a rigid hierarchy. Almost, it's like military rank, you know.
And let's not make any mistake. These short grays aren't like they're idiots or anything. They're leaps and bounds beyond what you and I are capable of.
Right. Short grays pilot the ships. They go in and get you most of the time. Tall gray might be hanging out and watching.
So the short grays, they basically do all the dirty work. They're like, you know, get your ass in there and get that done, boy. And
he's the supervisor.
Yes, sir.
He's in there making sure that they don't fuck around and they're doing what they're supposed to do in a timely manner.
The short grays are the nurses in the hospital. And the tall grays are the doctors who walk in after the nurses do everything. Oh. And they take a look and they go, all right, better check that. And then they walk out again.
My mind went full firefighter. I heard nurse. I'm like, huh? I'm sorry. Fireman,
you know the way that works, right? I mean, yeah, it's very rigid. So when people tell you, oh, there are our space brothers, they're coming to raise our consciousness so we're all equals in the galactic federation of imaginary nice aliens. No. In fact, the first thing they do when they come for you is lower your consciousness rather than raise it. When they come for you, they sedate you mentally. They have, I don't want to do too much of the talking, but really quickly, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that their technology is what separates us. Oh, they've got better tech. They got faster ships, faster cars. No, their great advantage over us, in my opinion, is their mental and neurological superiority, which makes us absolute pawns in their game. They can read your mind. They do read your mind. And they use their telepathic. I'm sure you know that. They don't speak out loud. And they use their telepathy as a weapon. It's not friendly telepathy. Let's unpack your trauma, Junior. You almost drowned when you were 5. No, they come in and they're reading your minds, everything you think. And they read it as if you were shouting each thought out loud. And if they sense that you are going to resist them, that you are going to make a lot of noise or run away or look for a weapon or any of that, they paralyze you where you stand instantly with their mental superiority. They reach in your brain and shut off the connection.
Have you guys ever been able to resist this, or like from years of going, or just like there's none, you're just stuck? You know what I mean? Like
there's nothing you can do, except for maybe what Sean did. And Sean is the star of this story. I tend to do a lot of the talking. Sean is the star of the story. They love Sean. And Sean was not always frightened. And he negotiated with the gray.
Yeah, when they would come in, the first thing they would do, like he says, is paralyze you. So there's no resistance. Well, I was a child, and for me, the worst part of the experience was being paralyzed. So I expressed that to them, and I asked them if there was a way that they wouldn't paralyze me anymore. As a child, I used the word freeze. Don't freeze me anymore.
Makes sense, yeah. That's what you'd say as a kid.
Speaks, yeah. And they said, well, as long as you do what you're told, we won't paralyze you or freeze you. And they were true to their word, and they would just show up, and I would greet them, and they would greet me back. They were quite friendly, you know.
They are. There are so many wrong. I mean, you were what, 5, something like that,
somewhere
6?
around there, yeah.
And he made a deal with them. If you don't freeze me, I'll cooperate. I'll just go.
Yeah, they are willing to listen. You know, you can converse with them. You can ask for things. They've done things for me that I've requested. So,
and as a result of him not having to be under the control that they had me under, I think his interactions were less clouded. They were less covered.
I agree with that.
His mind was less distorted and sedate. So they sedate you like an Irish drunk. I'm Irish.
That's all right. That's okay. I got some Irish in me.
Like a drunk wandering down the street. They sedate you to. That's what I mean about lowering your consciousness. They come in, paralyzed me, and then when they get close enough, they say, "You're trying to scream. You're trying to do anything." They go, "Wait! You remember us? Come on, you remember us." And in that moment, they have gone into your brain and they have lifted the hold that they have over your previous memories with them.
Oh, and they show you then. Okay.
No, they just lift it and you remember them. You remember us. And in that moment you go, "Oh, of course. How could I forget you guys? Yeah, I remember you guys. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know how I could have forgotten you." And they'll say something like, "Well, don't worry about it. It's all right." They leave you with the blame. But the reason you don't remember them is because they had your mind on lockdown. They're very slick. They're very smooth. And in that moment, they're in your brain going, wait, don't you remember us? They take over your mind. They get rid of the fear, the horror, the adrenaline, the urge to fight, your reason. They get rid of your reason. They get rid of who you are, really, your personality. And they replace all those things with compliance. They make you think they're your best friend. Like, we're such friends, whatever you need me to do. And that's it. You are sunk. And then you're putty in their hands. And people say, well, why do they lift the memories? I think there's a few reasons. One, I think they lift because you're in such terror with these monsters walking in your house.
Yeah.
And let's face it, these are monsters as far, by any definition of a horror movie.
Yeah,
Listen, if I see a 7-foot tall goddamn mantis coming in my house, I'm going to shit myself. Like, legitimately, I will straight up shit my pants. Like, I'm not.
And walk through the wall to do it, the solid wall.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that they can phase through things. I actually just interviewed Michael Batista, and he was telling me the same thing, that they saw orbs and ships coming out of the ground like nothing, like out of the ground.
Sure.
In the desert in Utah. It's fucking crazy. Absolutely.
But I think the reason they lift, I heard that about him as well. I think they lift those memories so, one, they're not going to kill you. Because they let you remember all your memories. So now that takes a little bit out of your panic, out of it. Oh yeah, they're not going to kill me. And another reason is, I think they want you to remember what you've done, so you have a good overview of what's expected of you and how this is going to work and how it's going to go. And you're under the control. So then they say, let's go. Got to get in the ship. Time's wasting. Let's go. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. You walk in the ship. And they like you ambulatory, so they don't have to carry you. They can just tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. They don't have to use a levitation machine or drag you in a net like the gorilla in Planet of the Apes, dragging Charlton Heston. They just tell you to do what they want, and you do it. Then when you're on the ship, and you're settled, they usually deepen your sedation. And then when you hit the bigger ship or the facility, they raise it a little bit so you can walk, get on the table. And sometimes they actually want your active involvement. They want to talk and discuss things with you, or want you to participate, a willing participant. And in those cases, they really raise your consciousness to almost like you normally are. I'd say 80% or something. And Sean, they wanted to involve him in testing and experimentation and teaching him things. So for a lot of his abductions, I think he was much more conscious, because you can't do these things when you're under anesthesia.
And Sean, you said your abductions have been recent. Chris, have yours been very recent or no?
We recovered our memories in 1996. It was a shocking day when a flying saucer materialized in broad daylight over a family picnic we were having in the backyard, waiting for Sean to wake up. Sean was a cop who worked
midnight shift. So I was sleeping during the daytime. I lived in the basement apartment at my parents' house, saving money. And I was probably just a few weeks from moving out, as a matter of fact.
And they showed it was August 19th, 1996, and it was broad daylight. It was 6 p.m. in August, so the sun hadn't even set.
Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
You just said August 19th?
Yes.
1996. All right, so I've been with my wife since August of 1996. I'm not even kidding you. And the 19th is our wedding day. That's
really?
Crazy. I'm sorry. It's fucking, no. I'm like, wait a minute. All right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
And at that point, there were times, especially when we were younger, when you could remember things. You could ask parents about it. But after they shoot you down, they don't remember. then you don't remember, and all these threads. There's like a sweater that was just so loosely knit, it was kind of falling apart. And they don't like you thinking about it. So for 30 years, from 66 to 96, by the time we got to 96, I had no idea that anything had ever happened to me. That's how powerful their control was. They'd taken me 120, 130 times. Didn't remember any of it. And when that flying saucer materialized over us, I don't know what to make of it. I thought it was the first time I'd ever seen anything.
What shape was it? What did it look like? If you don't mind me asking.
Sure. It was a classic. It was a flying saucer, but I didn't think of it that way. My mother pointed it out. I never would have seen it. Because they were controlling us. They had to bring Sean back. Why they had him till 6 p.m., I don't know. But they had to get him back because we're having a barbecue. And if he's not in that bedroom, shit's going to hit the fan. So they were bringing him back, and they were trying to be careful about it and sneaky, but they fucked up. It was impossible.
Fucking broad daylight.
It was broad daylight, but you know what?
That's not the time to do it. Do that shit 3 a.m, not 2 p.m.
It's not the only broad daylight incident, though. But yeah,
but he's at work at 3 a.m.
right
as a cop, so that makes it difficult. Anyway, I was working traffic and crowd control for the police. I mean, he got me the gig during summers. There's a big racetrack here in the summer, and anyway. So I got off shift. I was invited to Mom's house, going to do some barbecuing. And I came in. I didn't even go home to change, so I'm wearing my, fake almost cop shirt, And I plopped down on a chaise lounge, reclined, and clear blue sky, perfectly blue. There wasn't a single cloud. And there was a newspaper next to me, and it was our local paper, and it's just a rag. We only used it for the TV listings, in 96. But for some reason, I picked it up. And I opened it, wide like this, the whole width, and I'm laying back in the chaise lounge, holding this paper spread open for some reason. And what I was actually doing was blocking my entire view of the sky, my entire view. And at the moment, I remember thinking, oh, why am I holding this stupid paper like this? Like I'm reading 2 pages at once. And I was reminded, it made me think that it reminded me of an actor, Fred McMurray, from the 1950s, who had a show called My Three Sons.
Yep, I know the show.
And it was a sitcom, and the plot, he's single dad for whatever. Mm-hmm. And it revolved around him coming home from work, plopping in his easy chair, and opening his newspaper and using it as a barrier between himself and parental responsibility.
Yeah, he's like, all right, enough of your shit. And there's the paper.
He's like, oh, that's good, Chip.
Yep.
Oh, Dad, I was just hit by a car. Walk it off, son.
Yeah, okay. Page 3. Yep.
Go tell Uncle Charlie.
Yeah, there was no responsible parental guidance in the 50s. It was like, go ask your mother.
Yeah.
Well, where is she? Go find your mother,
Right.
So it felt weird to me, but I just sat there holding it. And then my mother, we had just had this discussion about UFOs because it's all intertwined, our lifetime of things. She remembered more. At this point, she remembered. And 2 weeks before, I walked in the house. She was watching, I believe it was Oprah, and Oprah was talking to witnesses of UFOs, very vivid accounts. And my mom's watching it, and I'm watching it, and I say to her, hey, you know what? I think I believe them. And Mom got pissed. She was like, oh, you do, huh? You think you believe them? Wow, that's nice. That's good. Great. And I'm like, what? They seem to be making sense. Like, yeah, uh-huh. I said, you know what? I really want to see one. Oh, you want to see one? Oh, then how about that? He wants to see one. She was furious at me, and I couldn't understand why. But she was furious that she was in this alone. She remembered we didn't. And she was just out of her mind that we could not remember everything.
So she knew that you two had been abducted along with her, and she was, I guess, grateful that you didn't remember?
No, she wasn't grateful. She was angry. She was angry at me that I didn't remember.
Okay.
Because who can she talk to about this?
Right. Yeah, now she has no one to relate to. Okay, I get it.
It almost sounds like she was sarcastic.
Yeah, she was being sarcastic. Oh, completely. Like, so here we are 2 weeks later, and I've got the paper up. Sean's allegedly sleeping in the basement. And Mom says, "Hey, Chris, there's that UFO you wanted to see." And I'm sitting like this, and it sounded like she was busting my balls, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it sounded like. So, loving son that I am, I was not going to give her any satisfaction by playing along. So I kept the paper up. I just kept the paper. I don't look. And then a minute later, my Aunt Melissa, says to Mom, wait a minute. What is that? And I'm like, not buying it. And then Mom says, well, I don't know. I don't know. And Mom is not that great of an actor. She was confused and unsure. And so I go, okay. I figured, you know what? They've gone to all this effort. Did they write a script for this? Okay, here you go. You want me to look. And I go, okay, so what's, and I lower the paper, and there is a saucer, a disc-shaped craft materializing. It was coming through, I don't know, like a portal, slowly. And in that first moment, I thought it was very far off, very small. I thought maybe it was like over the racetrack where there's thousands of people. Maybe it was a promotional balloon shaped like the Death Star.
It's a blimp, right? Yeah.
I thought it was like a Death Star balloon, but it had been deflated, so it was kind of this shape. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was off in the distance. But as we watch it, it's warbling like this. It was translucent. There was light coming through it. And like a heat mirage, heat mirage, the waves, the radiation.
Yeah.
The whole thing was heat mirage. And it was pushing, it was pulling like taffy. And as we watched it, it became saucer shaped, like dull gray and diffuse and blurry. It was really blurry. And then it was a little less blurry. And you could see that it was spinning, that the top was spinning one way and the bottom was spinning the other way. And then all of a sudden, after minutes of this, it was chrome bright and it was solidly here, because before there were no shadows, there was no sun hitting it, there was no light source, it was just gray. Now the sun was hitting it, and underneath there were shadows, from the sun being on the other side. And
right.
And I'm going down this checklist of what it could be. And it was eventually you hit on flying saucer, man. It was a goddamn flying saucer. And I don't want to take all of our time talking about it, but mom's in a trance, my aunt's in a trance, my cousin's in a trance. They're all in a trance staring up at it like the photo on the cover of Night of the Comet, VHS.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and they were standing shoulder to shoulder, mouths open, and nobody has said a word since I went, okay, so what's, including me, none of us spoke. But the craft started acting weird. A light started going around it, red light, and then the whole thing lit up like a road flare with little peaks of orange, pink, flame, just lights. The sparks weren't really coming off it, but these needles of light and energy. And I'm like, this might be it for us. I mean, what the? whatever this thing is doing. And at first we thought it was just something we were seeing that was going by, but it was over the house and it was not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah, no, I can. And that was when you guys remember. That's when you guys got all your memories back.
Yeah. Well,
that happened.
and I know it's complicated and I don't want to take away from the things Sean has to say, but Sean was part of this and it only works with both of us saying it. So at this point, you know what I did before it lit up? I was starting to get my clearer head.
And it works better with Chris telling his portion first.
That's fine.
And whereas everyone else was frozen, I started trying to provoke a response. I walked the length of our pool, 30 some odd feet, to the fence and stood on the diving board, and I was like under it. And I noticed on the bottom there was a black disc.
How big was it? Did you get any kind of like, so how low is it? Did you get any kind of like electromagnetic feeling being under it? Any type of smell, ozone, anything? Like I'd be scared being under that fucking thing because it gives off radiation, I'm assuming.
Yes, but they were controlling us to some degree. They took away panic. They took away the interest in going to get a camera or to call somebody. Mm-hmm. They wanted you just to be a sedated witness. They're able to control not just the abductees in the ships, but witnesses, apparently, because that's what they were doing. But I was kind of shaking out of it, and I walked under it. And as soon as I got under it, a voice in my head, I had an idea. I didn't have an idea, but they make it seem like it's your idea. And it popped into my head, hey, I shouldn't stand under this. Who knows what? Could be radiation or some crazy, I better, not safe. I better get away. And I backed away. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't my thought. They were telling me back away. So now what I did was I was angry that these things could kill us. And why? Who told them they can hover over our fucking house? And this could be it. And so what I did, I'm going out like an Irishman. I stood up tall and I raised both fists in the air at it. And I gave them 2 middle fingers. And I shouted, fuck you, as loud as I could. And I don't know if I'm the first person to shout fuck you and
probably
flip
not
off the saucer, but I doubt it. And I know I won't be the last.
It'd make a good movie scene.
It was my one nod to sedated bravery. with a clear head, I'd have been in the car and going to the next
Sometimes
county.
You just got to scream fuck you with both middle fingers up, man. I get it.
Yes.
I get it.
You get it.
I get it.
So that's when the thing lit up. And I'm like, holy shit, it could just kill us and nobody'd ever know. They're not going to, they'd be looking for like a van full of angry leftists or something, kidnapping a family. But they certainly wouldn't be going, oh, it looks like flying saucer wiped them out.
Right.
So at this point, I need help. I'm the only man here. Sean's sleeping, and Sean has a gun.
Yeah, he's got a gun.
So I'm going to get Sean. Trouble is, Sean was not in that bedroom at that moment.
Oh, shit.
But as I leapt up the stairs to go in the house, to go downstairs to get him, I had an idea right at the doorway. Don't go in now, Chris. Don't go in. By the time you get back out, this will be gone. And you'll never see anything like this again. This is your chance. Just stay out here and look at it for a while. And I thought it was my thought. It was not my thought at all. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, yeah, that's true. It'll be gone. So let me look at it a little bit. So another 20, 25 seconds. I looked at it, but then I looked over at my mom in a trance. And I said, fuck this, I'm getting Sean. I leap down the stairs 4 at a time. I get to his door, and I'm going to throw his door open and wake him up, get him out here. And for the 3rd time, they interfered with me. They said, don't open his door. You could startle him, yelling at him, waking him up, and he has a gun, and he could be startled and shoot you. So don't open the door. And so I went, oh, I hadn't really thought about that. Yeah, well, okay, I won't open it. Instead, I pounded on it, with my fist and forearm. Bam, 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 bam. Sean, get up. Wake up. There's a UFO outside. Get up. Come up. And at this point, Sean has to take over. And we're going to back up a couple of minutes where Sean's involvement begins in this.
For me, the first thing I remember is being elevated in the air, looking down at the backyard and seeing everybody by the pool. I'm not looking out a window or a porthole. It's as if there's no wall or anything around me. I'm just looking with an unobstructed view of the backyard. And I feel comfortable being there for whatever reason. I'm not asking myself, what am I doing hovering above the yard, looking down at everybody at the pool. I'm not the least bit concerned as to where I am. But I notice everybody at the pool and I get excited. And I want to go swimming with them. So I ask, can I go swimming? And this is the first time I remember seeing somebody else with me. There's off to my right side, maybe 8 or 10 feet off to my right, standing parallel with me, facing the same direction. Shorter gray alien leans forward at the waist, looks to his left to look at me, and he says, "We're taking you to bed. You can get up and go swimming." And he even emphasized the word up in that statement. And that's when I noticed there were 2 more standing behind me that were like mid-sized, just shortly smaller than me, shorter than me, I should say. And, I was inches from them. They were standing directly behind me, one at each shoulder. And then the next thing I notice, I'm looking down still at the pool and everybody. And the one, I recognize exactly where one person was. I remember distinctly my cousin being in the shallow end of the pool. I don't remember where everybody else was, but I remember seeing them and getting excited that people were over and we're going to go swimming. But as I'm watching them down there, all of a sudden I see light reflecting off the pool water, like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was little bright lights popping and moving, almost like they were shooting stars in the water. And I thought to myself, boy, that's really weird. And my only explanation I could come up with was it must be the angle that I'm looking at the pool. It's got to be the sun's reflection. And it just, for whatever reason, because I'm elevated, it looks strange like that. But if you put Chris's story and my story together, that must have been the same lights he saw coming off the craft when he was in the yard. Mm-hmm. I didn't see it like coming directly off the craft. I only saw the reflection of it off the pool water.
Because you were in the craft, right?
Yeah. And when I'm standing there talking to him, I feel completely normal. And the next thing I know, just like that, I'm in my basement. And I've got an arm over the shoulders of each one of those aliens who was standing behind me. Like I'm a drunk friend being helped to bed by his buddies.
Right.
And I actually did feel all of a sudden, once I got into the basement, I felt as though I had been drugged, like I was under anesthesia, or, I don't know if drunk is the right way to put it, but somewhere in that vicinity, I had trouble walking and they were doing most of the work. I was moving my legs, but they were supporting my weight and walking me towards the bedroom. We had appeared in the living room there, and we're walking towards the bedroom, and I leaned towards the right, looked to the one on my right arm, and I thanked him. And he didn't respond. So I thanked him again. And his response was, yeah. Yeah, that's his exact words. Yeah. You wouldn't think an alien would talk like that, but it's exactly how they spoke. Next thing I remember is that I'm in the bed. I'm in my bedroom in bed, and I'm kind of drifting off to sleep, and I hear, in my head, people say telepathy. I would describe telepathy as I hear it, but it's like wearing headphones as opposed to a speaker across the room. It's like a more direct way of communicating, but I actually hear a voice is the way I would describe it. I heard the one alien talking to the other one. I overheard him, and he says, "He's coming. We're going to get caught." And he said it in such a panic. I had never heard anyone as frightened as he was. He was absolutely panicked, terrified that they were going to get caught. And in my head, I'm thinking, who are they afraid of?
Right, exactly.
Who are they afraid of? And are they not supposed to be doing this? Is another thought I had. Is there some supreme being of some sort on his way here?
Big
This
sexy
is
over
what they're
here.
afraid of.
I'm scared of
Right
big
here.
sexy.
Supreme being, you can call me.
Big sexy.
And the other one answers him calmly. And that one's on the foot of my bed, standing at the foot of my bed. And he says, "No, he's not. Not yet." And I had to know who they were talking about. It took every ounce of energy I had to sit up in bed, look at the two of them who are now both at the foot of my bed, and ask, "Who's coming?" And they, I don't want to say both panicked now, but they hurriedly turned their heads to look at me, like surprised, and in unison said, "Go to sleep." And I had absolutely no choice in the matter. I laid right back down, started to drift off to sleep, and I heard Chris pounding on the door. Boom, 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 boom. "Sean, get up. There's a UFO outside." And I tried to answer him using telepathy, which I was just using with the aliens. And I said, "Of course there is. They were just here. They just left." And then it struck me what I'm trying to say. And I'm like, "What?" And so I threw the covers off, ran upstairs. And by that point, the UFO was gone. And I'm standing there in the bright sun. And it's dawning on me what the hell just happened. And not only is that memory in my head, but now I'm flooded with all these past memories of things that had happened.
Oh, wow.
It was a confluence of errors and luck on our part. I wouldn't, if Mom didn't point the ship out a couple of times, I wouldn't have looked. If I would have just been like this, and they would have, because the ship was silent.
Well, they're probably keeping you keeping you busy. If they're controlling you through telepathy, clearly your mother was able to break it, and your mother was the catalyst in getting you guys your memories back, which is huge. That's
Yes.
a great thing.
I mean, it's
crazy.
It's changed our lives. That was Liberation Day.
Sure.
And what happened was, because I stopped Sean from getting fully back to sleep and all those memories covered, I dragged him into a state where he was trying to respond to me telepathically. And in that moment,
That's
he
when
had
it came back.
he had a foot in each world.
Huh.
He's like, "Wait a minute. What just happened?" And as he came upstairs, as he says, the memories were flooding back. Now we're all surrounding him. We're like, "Sean, you wouldn't believe it." I'm like talking like an auctioneer. "You wouldn't believe it. There was a flying saucer right outside. The real. Who would have thought they were real? I didn't think they were real. Here it was. It was right there." And Sean was wincing. He was in pain. He was I thought he'd be thrilled and excited, but he was in pain. And I thought, oh, I woke him up too soon. He had the kind of recoiling from the sunlight look that, you know, if you ever watch an old prison film from the 70s where they put him in the hot box for a week.
Yeah.
And then,
look at all
you know, they take him out. Yeah.
the sun. Oh, God, the sun. Yeah, I got you.
I bet
Like a
you remember
vampire.
how a shovel works now, won't you, boy?
Right.
You know? So that's the look he had. But I said, the craft had just drifted off. I was over the next street, and then it was going away. And then as Sean was coming up, I said, Sean, let's hop in the car. Let's hop in the convertible. It was going out 29. It was heading east. We can probably catch it. You got to see it. You won't believe it. And we're driving along, and it had veered one way or the other, or it had dematerialized just like it materialized. Who knows? But I said, you wouldn't believe it, Sean. It's right here. And what did you say?
I just said they were bringing me back.
They were bringing him back. And I'm like, my thought was, wow, I woke him up screaming about UFOs, and now he's worked it into his dream or something. And I said, you know, a little condescendingly, oh no, Sean, nobody's talking about alien abductions. We're just talking about a flying saucer that was hovering over the house for about 10 minutes, you know. And in my stupidity and in my covered memories, I couldn't make the connection that, you know, same thing. Yes, the flying saucer was there. And yes, they were bringing Sean back. And Sean said,
they've taken you too.
Yeah. And I said, oh, with all the haughty, you know, down talking you can do to somebody. Oh, Sean, oh, come on now. I believe my exact words were, I think if I had been abducted by aliens, I would know it. And then Sean said,
don't you remember the time Mom screamed and ran through the living room saying, they're back. Why do they have to come back?
Why do they always have to come back? She screamed it. And by the time he was halfway through that, I was saying it with him. We finished her 3 sentences of terror. Your mom, you remember when your mom is shrieking in terror, right, and losing it. And in that moment, we're in the car, right? Good thing he's driving, because it blew my mind. I remembered her screaming that. I remembered seeing the aliens out the window coming for us. I remembered it all. And I was starting to remember other times. And it was as if, you know, somebody threw a bowling ball at the car as we were driving by at 60 miles an hour, and it went through the windshield and hit me in the brain, because that's the kind of impact it had. It was like, if you watch a lot of movies, there's like a dolly shot in a horror movie where, like, you know, the background comes fading back and he's moved forward. That's what it was. I didn't know what to think. But I remembered these things, and he remembered these things. And it's not like, oh, I remember one time this happened. When you remember these, and it's just, they're there. And you remember what you were thinking at the time. You remember what they said to you and what you said.
They're very vivid memories.
It's a very unique way I think we recovered our memories.
Yeah, it's like getting it all at once. That's crazy.
It was over the course of like a couple of weeks, because you can only think about one thing at a time, and then you got to go to work, you know? And you're playing over that, and then they just start falling like puzzle pieces, like shards of glass. It just broke their the hold they had over our family since 1959. Okay. And our lives, our entire lives, we learned in that moment that our entire lives were not our entire lives. And it turns out our lives were a science fiction and horror movie with all the science fiction and horror on the cutting room floor, cut out, scene missing. Like if you've ever seen an old Grindhouse movie, it's going through and then it's like scene missing, and then it's the ending. Well, those missing scenes, we've got them. We have them.
Like all
and
of them?
I'm angry. I don't. We have no idea how many we recovered. It could be just a fraction. It could be all of them. I really don't think it is, but it was enough of them for us to be out here talking. If it wasn't for that day, you wouldn't know us. We wouldn't know you because we had no interest. No interest. Even though there were times I asked Mom about it when we were kids and things like that.
Yeah, and even though a lot of my memories came back, I still don't recall them taking me that day or where we had gone to or what we had done during that abduction in 96. I still only remember the return. So there are bits and pieces that are missing, certainly enough gaps, but there's a lot that we do remember.
It seems that that we're more prone to remember when something unusual happens.
Yeah.
Or something important or something is said. God only knows how many were out there. And most of the ones I remember, I was not abducted. You tend to remember the heads and tails, mostly. Because during the meat of it, if they're doing things, they put you under. They put you under.
Right.
I mean, I have woken up on the table, when I was supposed to.
I can't even imagine that. I'd probably wake up fighting. You know what I mean? Like I'd wake up swinging. You wake up on a table. That's no. So I got a question for you. Was this prior to you learning about your hybrid child or post 96? That day, August 19th in 96.
Oh. Well, they introduced me to my hybrid child sometime in the summer of 1979.
79. Okay, thank you.
So it was 17 years before. I was about 17 years old.
And I wonder if you've ever met him after that.
I don't think so. It didn't go well.
Crazy.
It's quite a story, but Sean has incredible stories as well. I mean, they what did they do? They made him perform acts of telekinesis and other complicated things using only his mind. And I don't remember any of that with me. With me, it was more like sit there and don't touch anything.
I think they liked, first of all, my friendliness with them. It's like a police officer, like I was, on doing warrants. And they're used to everybody they go to arrest is fighting or running or calling them names. And then finally they get to one guy who's like, oh, yeah, all right, I'll come along. No problem.
Peacefully, right.
Yeah, they're probably more apt to give that guy better treatment than the person kicking and spitting. So maybe it was something to do with that. And I was also curious. I asked questions. Like one time, they went into my parents' room after they had gotten me, and I walked in there with them. And one of the tall grays walked over to my father, who was sleeping in bed. And he went over and he touched him on the side of the head and started walking back towards the foot of the bed, towards where we were standing. And when I say we, it was me and at least one other short gray. And so I asked, is he coming with us? And he says, not this time. No, not this time.
Wow.
So I asked, well, what if he wakes up? And he says, he won't. And he sounded partly annoyed that I asked, and partly maybe impressed that I'm asking. But he talks to the other alien, and he says, "Who is this kid to question me?" Like, he couldn't believe that I questioned what he was doing.
Right.
You know? Questioning
who is this insect to question the authority of the
yeah.
It's crazy.
And then he walked over to my mother, and he touched her on the head, and she got up as if she was in a trance, threw the blankets off her, had her nightgown on, and walked towards the bedroom window where a light was shining through. And when she got to the window, she was like a complete trance. You know, she was not alert to what was going on around her. She walked into that light at the window. She levitated off the ground, did a somersault in midair, and then shot out through the closed window at an incredible speed.
The fuck?
Through the closed window.
Through the closed window, yeah. It's not like
she phased through the window in the light, and I guess went into whatever the ship was.
Yeah, it must have been. They seem to almost always. I can only remember one other time at that house where they didn't. I don't want to say park, but they stop on the southern end of our house typically.
Yeah. I mean, occasionally they'll land, but very rarely. So most of the time they'll hover like right outside.
You said that the ship came through a portal. Is that something that you've seen often? Is that something that you've only dealt with the first time? Like, do you think that touches on do you think that these things are interplanetary, interdimensional? The grays and the mantises that you've seen? Because you've seen just the two different types of grays and a mantis, right? Have you seen any type of humanoid?
No, there's many different types of grays. There are a dozen variations more.
Okay.
As we say, there's the intermediate height, but they can vary in skin color.
Right.
Some are, a lot of them aren't really gray, right?
Yeah, if I had never heard the term gray before, I would describe most of them as white. But they're in the shape. I know there's another, people are calling them tall whites, which I think are something different. These are definitely the shape of grays, but to me, the complexion they're certainly whiter than I am.
Yeah, the tall whites are supposed to be humanoid looking. They're like the Nordics allegedly, except for they're bigger.
Okay.
And different. This is what they're saying. I don't know if it's true.
I hear you.
This is what they're claiming. I don't know what's true.
You're right. And I only know what's true for me, you know. But yeah, they're the tall grays. When I was a kid, I thought they were ghosts. Okay, because they have these big black dead eyes, and they're white as Casper. Usually, they're after working with them. Being abducted throughout your life is like working in an office with a bunch of people you just really don't like. There's this professional. You just how do I quit this job?
Right.
But at any rate, so I think they look like the belly of a fish. You know, that white.
That weird looking, that off
dirty white. Too,
I got you. That off white. Yep, I got you. I know what you're saying.
The main thing is that it's cold. You don't see any red blood or any warmth to it whatsoever.
Well, that's a question. When they touch your skin, are they warm or cold, or what are they?
Neutral, as far as I know. They put their hands on my head, tilted my head back to look me in the eyes and tell me to be quiet, because I managed to get a scream out, and that annoyed them.
Yeah, but I can't say that I've noticed either warmth or cold either. I mean, I only remember. I mean, I've been touched by them a number of times, but I don't remember saying, wow, that's warm, or wow, that's cold.
Yeah, and you're sedated. You know, it's not you're thinking. Right. You're not playing a detective. Because if you start paying attention and like making mental notes, oh, look at the way that guy's cloak is. Those boots are weird. And look at the way they turn their heads. Like, they hear you. And they don't want you taking notes. Okay?
And they most often stand behind you, depending on what they have you doing, so you're not staring at them.
Yeah, you're not there to learn. You're there to
be. What type of clothing are they wearing? What does the clothing look like? Or outfits?
Mostly J. Crew, but no, I'll tell you.
The gap.
I'll tell you the tall grays, they wear a lot of cloaks. All right. If they're out, they're wearing a black cloak. They kind of look like the ghost face killer from the Scream movies.
Oh boy, that's creepy.
In a black cloak and the white face and the big black eyes. Of course, the face is shaped differently, and these are alive and real.
Right.
They like cloaks. And on the ships, I've seen them wearing like glittery cloaks. You know that oil fabric where if you look at it different ways, you see colors?
Yeah. The black dress, the blue dress. Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, like a oil in a puddle. It's
Right.
kind of, you can see all these different colors. Yeah, and personally, I think they like lilac, a very light purple, and a very light minty green. They're not big on colors at all, but the tall grays, I've seen them wearing those. And with my one encounter with the Mantis, who was the biggest asshole you'd ever want to meet, he was wearing a big flowing purple cloak, like a deep, richly dyed purple.
And how big are those? Are those large, or are they human sized? Are they smaller? The Mantis?
It was bigger than the tall grays. It was like 8 feet.
Oh shit.
8 to 9 feet. And from my kid's point of view, that's enormous.
Yeah, that's
I wasn't
huge.
I could tell this pretty quick. The grays were walking me back, 2 tall grays, my handlers. They're walking me back to the shuttle thing to take me home. And, I came to consciousness already walking, and they like you to walk. They raise you up a little bit, and I'm walking, and we're walking back. And they walk fast, and they have long legs, and they're about 10 feet ahead of me, but I'm there walking. Everything's cool. I am in and out, but I was slightly conscious. And as we walk around a curved hallway, and there's a lot of curves, man, they don't like 90 degrees. They don't like straight lines. Everything's organic. So we're walking around this curved hallway, and I look to my left, and there was a door open, with a curved top. Everything's curved. And I look in, I just, notice, and there's 2 tall grays, and they are lifting and helping this even taller being. I thought in the moment, it like a grasshopper almost. And they're moving it and lifting it into a chair, like a throne, a big plush chair. And I could sense the being's pain and stiffness. I could hear it creak. I think it was remarkably old because it wasn't some bright green. It was almost that brownish color that things take before they shed their skin or melt. But I noticed it, and that's all. And I'm past the door, and the door was closing. And we got about 10 feet down the hallway, and the 2 tall grays and me, we hear a booming voice in our heads. And this voice was different. I've heard many gray voices. And the voice boomed, "Bring him back to me. He saw me. Bring him back." And the 2 tall grays, which I think were my normal handlers. I think you're assigned to certain ones. And one of them talks, the other one doesn't, but he's speaking for both of us. Anyway, so the 1 tall gray says back to the booming voice, "Oh, no, he's under, he didn't see anything. We got to get him back. I mean, it's not a lot of time. We really got to get going. We're behind schedule, got to get him back." That tall gray was covering for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mantis boomed again. He said, "He saw me. I saw through his eyes. He saw me. Bring him back." And the tall gray goes, "Oh, okay. All right." and the tall gray gets down in my face. I mean, they bend way down and their necks are long, and he cranes in my face and he whispers to me, telepathically, don't speak. Don't say anything. Don't say a word. And we go back in. We go to the room. The door opens, and it's not a big room. It's like, 10 feet and curved, oval shaped. And there's this, there's the two tall grays that were helping the Mantis. They're my two tall gray handlers. And there's me. And I was, 10, 9, 10. And there's this thing sitting on it's clearly a throne, in his royal purple robe and his arms that fold over with serrated. And it didn't seem to have a mouth or a nose. It was just a triangle head and eyes set back and on the sides. And we're there. And, the grays are in your head. And the two tall grays were in my head, just keeping me cool, keeping me from panicking. I know they were, because I would not be that cool. I was sedated to begin with, but they were keeping me cool. And the Mantis thing says, put him on his knees. And I went just like that. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know if I knew what the fuck. I think I did.
Fuck you. You got on your knees.
Yeah, I'm like, what an asshole move. I'm thinking. Like, what is this, a gladiator movie? On my knees. And the tall gray, like, just get down on your knees. And he's kind of guiding me. And just right here. Be cool. And it says the gray, or the Mantis, starts booming at me, and he's staring me in the face. And he's saying, you never saw me. You did not see me. Do you understand me? And he was repeating it. And as he's looking into me, it was like everything kind of went white around the edges. It was like, it was very different than what the grays are. Mm-hmm. And he says, if you ever tell anyone that you saw me, I will kill your parents. And lets it hang there. And he says, I will kill your dog. And, those are the only things that really matter to a 9-year-old.
Right. Parents and dog. Yeah.
And he says, what's your dog's name? And just like that. And with that, he's reaching into my eyeballs. You can feel it going down like your optic nerve, looking for my dog's name. And it felt like it was pulling dental floss out of my eyeballs.
Oof.
There's no pain or discomfort to the gray's telepathy. It's as smooth as just being in a room with somebody saying something. But it was horribly painful. And after a minute, he goes, Poochie. Your dog's name is Poochie. With that self-satisfied pride of a fucking cartoon villain. Mm-hmm. If you ever tell anyone you saw me, I will kill Poochie. Get him out of here. And my two handlers are like, yeah, okay, great, right? We also got to get him back. As soon as we were outside that door, the grays told me, run. How fast can you run? Run.
Before he changes his mind. Yeah, fuck that.
And I thought, they've never asked me to run. They were scared for me.
Wow.
They were scared. And we ran. And we get to the shuttle and they put me under, and I remember nothing more of it. I don't remember what happened before or when they took me or whatever. Probably routine, but I remember that. So yeah, they're assholes.
I could.
I, on the other hand, don't recall any clothing. I can't say for sure that they weren't wearing clothing, but if they were, the ones that I've seen, are wearing clothing that's very similar, if not the same color as their skin.
The skin?
So I don't recall ever seeing a collar or a patch, but I also don't recall seeing nipples or a rib cage or a belly button.
or a dingle or a dingleberry.
Yeah, I'm always like focused on the head and specifically the eyes, and the rest is just kind of the outline of the body that you see most of the time. For me, anyway.
And does it all feel like male presences in your head, or are there females?
I only met one female, and Chris met a female. For me, it was they brought me to a school out in the middle of the woods. It was just me and one tall gray. They had me perform other things, and apparently they liked the results. And they brought me to a school, and when we walked in, and it was like an old-timey school like you see on Little House on the Prairie. And wow. It was in the middle of the deep woods, but yet it was still, I remember the trees being enormous, but yet the sun was shining through where it was still bright, under the canopy of the trees. And we went into the side entrance. And when we went in, I saw all these other human children in there. And it reminded me of when you'd go in as a kid and there'd be a substitute teacher and all the kids would be unruly.
Right.
All these kids were unruly, not necessarily bad, but loud, talking. Just being not how I would act in school. And so the tall gray introduced me to what I presumed was the teacher, and I believe she was female.
Wow.
And I wanted to know what this was, and they said school, and my exact words were, in complete annoyance, was, "But I already go to school." And the tall gray says to me, "This is secret school." So, that's my one story with a female.
It's crazy.
Yeah. There was one. But as far as the Greys' clothes, the short Greys, they don't wear robes. They wear like skin tight, like jumpsuits or leotards. I've seen them with a metal collar and wrist things and belt. And black, wearing like UGG boots, kind of.
Now, for me, it's possible that they're wearing these, and I just don't take note of it. It's like if a bank robbery happens, I might just notice the face or the gun and not pay attention to what the pants are.
What kind of shoes on that robber?
That's right. I'd rather not make something up. I'm just going to be honest and say I don't notice those details.
Gotcha. No. Thank you. I'd rather you be blatantly honest than make some bullshit up. Not that I'm saying that you'd ever.
If I don't know something, I'll say I don't know. There's plenty of things that we both know that there's no shame in not having an answer to something.
So you guys feel as though these things.
I just want to also say I've seen a short Greys wearing white, kind of skin tight. Uniform leotards with collars and often a belt, not always a belt, sometimes a one piece, and always some kind of footwear. I've never seen first of all, I've never seen a nude alien ever. Even that Mantis had a robe. If you wanted to take a peek, you probably could have. But as I say, the tall Greys often robes. They have a Roman kind of look sometimes.
Interesting.
Like a Julius Caesar. I've seen one with the fabric folded over his arm. You know what I mean? That look.
So do they always just take you guys on ships, or do they take you, like, do you think that you've been elsewhere besides like a base? And if so, do you think the base is on planet? Do you think the base is elsewhere? Where do you think where do you know the location by chance, or have an idea of the location?
Top secret. We can't tell you. You're going to have to buy the book.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys writing a book? I'll read it.
No,
We are writing a
we
book.
are writing a book. But
Look
no,
for
we don't have the secret.
Oh, they're gonna be blowing you up. Oh, the goddamn grifters are selling book. You know, they always fucking attack people that are
For
selling
the low
shit.
price of $14.99 a
per
chapter.
page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can read along
A chapter.
with the adventures.
So
We're
questions
the
for you.
worst grifters in the world because we've never
We're
made
out
a
here
nickel
giving it- Yeah.
out of all this information. We're just giving it away. One, we
We
out
don't
of
want to
spite.
come across as charlatans,
Right.
making up a story to try to make money. That's not what we're doing.
Right.
But yes, they take you places. They've taken me to some kind of space, either a giant ship or some kind of station in space, looking back at the Earth. Also,
Oh, wow.
they've taken us underground.
Wow.
And here's how I know, okay? We're all in this small craft. It's taking off. And mom's in a trance and he's in a trance. He's almost a baby. But I'm kind of alert. And they put you against this padded pole, sitting on a padded round thing, and a kind of red metal bar just comes down, like if you're on like a roller coaster or a merry-go-round. There's that safety bar, which you really won't count on.
Right.
It's kind of a guide thing, probably to stop you from falling out on the floor. But anyway, I was kind of alert, and the ship is lifting off, and I want to see what the city looks like from above. I was a kid. I'd never been in a plane. I've only imagined. So I slip under the bar, and I start walking to the quote-unquote windshield. There's two short grays, and they're working the controls, and somewhere is a tall gray. That's kind of like the team unit of 3 that they often send to us. They're piloting the ship. I can't hear them. They're communicating with each other. They're really not aware of me. I just want to creep a little closer and see the city. And one of them whips around and screams, "What is this one doing up?" And it hits you. People who say the grays are emotionless don't know what they're talking about, because they do have emotions. They're not going to weep to a country song or anything like that, but they're very capable of mostly serious emotions. And when they feel, people who say they're robots or AI or avatars, when they have a strong emotion, it's more than just the words in your head that you think you hear. The emotion they're having exudes off of them like a wave.
You can feel it, literally.
Feel it hit you.
It's not like, well, due to his facial expression and his tone of voice, I know he's happy or,
Or angry. You feel the anger hit you.
Yeah.
It's like being at the front of a concert with a bass amplifier in your face.
Yeah.
You feel it thumping on your chest. It's a tangible thing. So
Wow.
He screamed at me, and another one comes and puts me back in seat. So now the ship's under control, I guess. All I can see through the windshield is gray. Like we're inside a cloud or something. And I was disappointed. And there's the 2 aliens, the one that screamed at me, and then the other one. The other one spins his chair around, and he says to me, "What were you trying to do anyway?" And he's kind of laughing about it. He's, "What are you trying to do?" Like I was going to say, I'm going to take over the ship or get a parachute or something. And I said, I just wanted to see what the city looked like from above. I've never been up in something. And he says, well, the nice one says to me, well, we don't really go up. And he says, to clarify, he goes, well, we go up a little bit, but then we go down. And the other alien, the main one, screams at him, "Shut up! What are you doing? You don't tell them that. You don't tell them anything." And the nice one argues back, "So relax. The kid's curious. that's a good thing, right? And besides, he's not going to remember any of this. And the mean one said, well, don't. Jokes on both of them. I do remember it.
You remember, yeah.
I do remember. And that's the thing. That's one more thing we should cover is that the Greys, the way they speak. All right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, similar to Chris's incident, that one time an alien told me something that he shouldn't have told me. I won't get into it. But when the tall gray heard what he said, he couldn't believe it. I mean, I don't know if his facial expression changed at all, but when he looked in my direction, you could just see the look of shock that he had on his face. And he walked over to the short alien who just told me this, and he asked him one question. Literally walked right up to him, and he looked down right into his face and said, "Are you stupid?" And he turned around and walked away.
What did he say to you? Something like,
I can't tell you.
all right.
Well, it's like this. At the time he told you this, it was a future event.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it came true.
Yeah.
It happened.
It's since the past. It's now the past.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow,
it's
that's-
almost the distant past. And it was not
It wasn't-
earth-shaking,
yeah, it
like,
wasn't 9/11,
war
it wasn't COVID.
Right, there was none of those things. What
It
happened
was
was
something we were talking. Yeah, go ahead.
they showed up for Sean, and the one sense Sean was
Upset.
upset, very upset about something that had happened.
And he was upset that I was upset. I could feel how sad he was for me, and he wanted to know what was wrong. So I told him something that was bothering him.
Bothering you?
Bothering me. I'm sorry. And he just said something that, told me something about the future that we were talking about, kind of related to that. And something you would think that he would have absolutely, I guarantee you, most people would say, there's no fucking way this alien knew anything about this.
Yes, I mean, I agree. There's a reason. There's a couple of reasons we haven't revealed it. One is we have a lot of very serious things to say, and it's so outrageous what the alien told him. We're just going to hold back. We're going to put it in the book, I promise. But we don't want. Some of these things are really outrageous, and we tell most of them. We do. But we've decided on this one, let's hold off. Let's.
Though it's true, we don't want to lose people over this. But
it was a subject that you would think aliens had it was a cultural thing.
Okay.
That they would have no interest in, but he knew.
Let alone know the future of it.
That's the important thing to take away from this is that
he wasn't guessing.
He had a solid understanding of the minutia of the future, this was a tiny thing.
And after he got reprimanded verbally for, telling me something he shouldn't have, I wanted to know when it was going to happen.
Right.
So I asked him, and at that point, he just meekishly said, I can't.
He's in big trouble, as it is.
Yeah.
They get in trouble. They fuck up. They told that's a case of each of us. They told us something they shouldn't have.
That incident also, after he had that look of shock on his face, he used a phrase that he uses every so often when he doesn't approve of what's going on. As one of the tall gray, he says, "What's going on over there?" Sometimes he doesn't know what's going on over there and wants to know, and sometimes he knows exactly what's going on over there, and it's his way of telling the short grays. He's not yelling at them. He's yelling at them that he doesn't approve of how they're behaving.
And where the conversation's going.
What we're talking about, if they're too loose with me, too friendly. He keeps them in line. He's not a guy you want to work for.
Have you guys ever taken your stories to like either Arrow or any of Congress or anybody higher up or any of this stuff?
Well, we are still the abductees, who, as far as I know, are the only ones who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. All kinds of guys can read books and then write their own books based on what other people who've never seen anything put in their books. And all these congressional experts, we were kind of excited when this happened, and we watched it, and we saw that this panel of experts didn't know a goddamn thing.
Compared to us, anyway.
They've never seen even a ship operating at close range.
Some of them have at this point.
You're talking about the most recent ones?
No, the original ones.
So they've seen a ship go by. Congratulations. None of them have been face to face with the gray. They've never had their invasive telepathy turn your mind. They've never been on the table. They've never been introduced to a hybrid. They haven't had hundreds and hundreds of hours of hearing them talk and them talking to you and telling you things and coming for you again and again. They don't know anything. They don't know. They invent all these other fanciful aliens that, as far as I'm concerned, are complete fiction. And you can start with any alien that's good, okay? If there are aliens that are good, what are they doing to stop little girls and daughters in their teens from being kidnapped routinely and forced to reproduce?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Hybrid aliens. I mean, where are the good aliens? And we hear things like the allies of humanity. Well, they might be like pals of humanity, but allies fight for each other. That's what makes an ally. And all these other good aliens, of which we've never seen or really seen convincing evidence of, they aren't helping us. Nobody is stopping these abductions. And at the very beginning, you were talked about what's their intent, what's their attitude. They're very different things. Their intent, as far as I'm concerned, is the worst it possibly could be. But they're sophisticated. A lot of them are kind. Some of them are cruel. Most of them, you use this word, most of them are indifferent. It's a job to them. Their emotions range from bored to sometimes amused, but not often, angry, disinterested. You get the feeling a lot of them would rather be someplace else. Probably tired of working with stupid kids every day. I don't know. But their intent is everyone who attaches good intents to these aliens, to these grays, and their contact, and they're here to, bring us up to 5G or introduce us to the Galactic Federation of Cool Guys, to shepherd our evolution, to test us and enlighten us. It's all horseshit. You only have to look at any abduction to see that every alien contact is a litany of felony crimes. Home invasion. Any one of these crimes would land you in prison, probably for life.
Yeah, for sure.
But they come in as home invasion. They take you, kidnapping, human trafficking of minors to who knows where, forced surgical procedures, mind control, memory control, control of your physical body, and how about forced reproduction?
See, that's what I was always scared of because of the fact that there are so many just missing people throughout the world, just people that are just gone, and there's no explanation to it. And
Yes.
it's either the government's doing it and they're giving them to them, or they're doing it, the aliens.
Or they ran into grizzly bears, or there are a lot of crazy people out there.
Right.
I know these beings that we deal with, they're not gonna not return somebody because here's the headlines. They don't like bad press. They don't like people even knowing they exist.
Yeah, they don't want us knowing, let alone the neighbors or the news or the community.
They don't want it, so they'll bring you back. They'll just cover your memory. It's like they never took you. I do know there's David Politis and a lot of people working on missing persons, but it doesn't really fit with the aliens situation that we know, and we've been treated better than a lot of abductees. But I mean, they're making hybrids out of us, man.
Right, but you have a hybrid child, for fuck's sake.
They're making them, to replace us. They're moving in. They've told me to my face, oh, well, you just think they're moving in. He told we're moving in, and we're taking the master suite. So you can.
What I'll say is I don't know. I can't say that Chris is wrong, but I have no idea. I don't know what their agenda is, but I know what they're doing is because they want to do it. I don't know. I mean, they're weird. They put you in weird situations. But at the same time, they're incredibly human-like with their emotions and the way they talk. And like Chris pointed out, they use conversational English even when they're talking to each other and you're not supposed to be listening. I find that bizarre myself. So I can't explain it.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. Here's another misconception.
They'll also use phrases that we use, like we're taking you to bed. It's not your sleeping quarters or whatever. Wait till we get to the top of the street. It's a phrase that I was a child and I wasn't even using the phrase top of the street, and they were saying it. I just find it weird that.
Well, I agree. It's very strange. And a lot of people, here's another misconception that most people have, that if the Greys, telepathically talk to you, it's in a voice that's like, human, you will not resist us.
Well, that's what
you will be assimilated. Do not attempt to use your bipedal limbs to exit the premises.
We come in peace as they zap you.
Yeah, we go with you in pieces. Right, we come in peace. And then it's some stilted robotic language. And that's the kind of thing that feeds these wrong guesses that, the aliens they're not real. They're not alive. They're avatars. They're AI. Here's the deal. Their minds are so powerful. They can get in and read all your thoughts, right? As quick as you think them. As they're coming in, they know everything you're thinking. But it's not just a superficial reading of your mind. They are extremely powerful, and they can read all of your mind. And not with like a Spock mind meld that takes like 2 commercial breaks. Mm. In seconds. They read you like you were the specials menu in a restaurant. You're done. They know everything about you. And one of those things they know is how people communicate with you, how they talk to you. And they respond, they talk to you in that same upstate New York accent, the same vernacular, the same vocabulary. All of that, that's how they communicate with you, just the way people have always spoken to you. And speaking, involves air, right? It's air being blown through your mouth.
Right.
It sounds almost dirty, right? But they can imitate that in your head. I have heard them go like this. They were mad because I was speaking out loud. It's rude. They don't like it. And I was speaking out loud, hey, what about? And I heard them both go, oh, just like that. And then they, after 2 times, they go, could you not do that? Like, what? I say out loud, that. You don't have to talk. We prefer you didn't. Because when you think it, we hear you. You just have to think it. You don't have to say it. And when you think it and then you say it, we have to hear it twice every time. So could you not? And I'm like thinking, okay. I go, there you go.
So Chris outsmarted him by thinking the same thing twice every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were annoyed. And the ships are very silent. These are silent beings. The only thing you really hear from them, I hear the rustling of their fabric. I hear the footsteps. And that's about it. I don't hear them breathing because I'm not convinced they do breathe. I couldn't really say. I've never seen them draw a breath or exhale or anything like that.
Do they blink?
No. I'm going to say no.
No.
Yeah, no way.
That's why that like Skinny Bob video.
I was going to ask you about that.
Links left and right, and so if it is legit, it's something that isn't a gray. It's it's not one of the real ones that we've seen.
It could be a hybrid or something like that. But
its eyebrow morphs weirdly. Like there was no reason for it to morph like that.
And he has luxurious eyelashes. Is that Maybelline or
like almost like mine? Yeah, he does.
I've got the eyelashes too, man. I get it. But so there's a lot of misconceptions, and two of the things that go into aliens or robots is they have no emotions, but they do. They're more restrained.
Yeah, they don't always show them.
Yeah,
especially for early on. Until they get to know you. They'll like early on with me, they would use like a real whispery voice to try to like intimidate me. Like first time I saw him, going back to the incident with my mother screaming, why do they always have to come back? She ran upstairs, hid in like attic space. I went up with her. I found her up there, and alien floated through the ceiling, through the roof, and came down. And the first thing he said to me, this is the first time I ever heard an alien talk to me, "You can't hide from us," in like a real whispery voice. But as the years went on, it would be just like a normal person talking. If you had your eyes closed, you would think it was a human being talking to you.
Yeah, that was the same one. Like my mom screamed. I ran into the dining room. I was going in the kitchen and I saw them. I saw a short gray walking right towards the picture window, tall gray walking towards the kitchen door, and I thought, I'll go lock the kitchen door. That'll stop them, right? I was 9. I don't even know what these things are. And my mom said, that's not gonna do anything. And she was hustling upstairs, Sean going upstairs, and that's when they paralyzed me. I couldn't move. I couldn't go to lock the door. So I'm forced to stand there watching. The only thing you can move are your eyes, man. And I'm watching, and the tall gray and his black cloak billowing kind of moves quickly to the back door. He looked like a newsreel from the 1920s. Remember, they had a different frame rate, so everybody seemed to be moving kind of herky-jerky, a little bit quicker. That's how that tall gray was moving towards the back door. The short gray was just walking at the picture window. And the tall gray comes in the kitchen. I'm paralyzed. The short gray just walks through the window and the window frame and wall. And they're standing.
Didn't even knock.
Yeah, the gray don't knock. You take one away from this.
I don't think they need
Gray
to, right?
don't knock. And there I am, and it's this tall creature, the short creature. I can't move. And I remember I had like a mental breakdown. My brain just gave up. I don't know what any of this is. I don't know why I can't move. And I screamed. I managed to scream out loud. Sometimes they'll mute you, like the goddamn remote control. They will mute you, and you can't scream.
To me, yeah.
But I screamed. And the tall gray was annoyed. He kind of moves over quick, slaps his 4-fingered hand on my head and tilts my head back and looks me in the eye and says, it was a cross between be quiet and shut up. And it was sometimes it's in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just like a buzz. Boo. I was placid. I was under control. I can't see it, but Mom and Sean are being marched out to the ship, and then I'm in the ship, and that was the time I ducked under and got in trouble for, and got one of them in trouble for telling me we don't go up, really. We go up a little bit, but we go down. So, and they took us that day to this. It was the biggest abduction. This is one of the few ones where I remember everything. Almost. They took us to an underground facility. The walls were rough, blackish rock, like slate. The layers, the years. But the floors were polished like marble. And the floors were not like smooth, straight. They kind of arced and rolled, almost like a skateboard park for geriatrics, just slight waves and rises,
Mm-hmm.
And there was a little stream in between two of the walkways. And I see there's Mom and Sean being led away. There's this big cavernous area where it was the biggest event we've ever been a part of. There were over 300 abductees easily. And my family's getting led away, and I try to cut through the crowd to catch up with them. They're disappearing around some other cave corridor. And the tall gray stops and he goes, "Whoa, well, where are you going?" "Hey, that's my family. I got to go with them." And they said, No, you're over here. You're going over here. And he moves me to the front of a row and paralyzes me and leaves me standing there. And I can see everything, but I can't move. And there were so many people. There were 2 rows of people here, and the front one was an old woman. Oh, making noise? Oh, sorry, I was touching the box. I'm very tactile, so an old woman and just like overweight, 50s, wearing just a bra and panties, and she's standing there in a trance. And I was embarrassed for her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't do anything, and I couldn't really look too far away. But a few minutes later, and I should say, I was right against the stream, and there was a little bridge over the stream, like the kind you'd see in a shopping mall in the 70s. They'd all have a water feature and a little bridge over it. And there were 2 reptilians. It's the only time I ever saw reptilians.
Oh, wow.
And I don't like to talk about it because they've got their own lore that really doesn't fit in with a lot of what we know. But these reptilians were working for the Greys. They were like security for this enormous operation. And a few minutes later, about 3 or 4 people behind me, I can't turn and see, some guy starts moaning out loud, nasally. And he says, "This is not a dream. This is not a dream. This is really happening. Help me. Somebody help me." And a tall gray whisks past me to go get him, and the 2 reptilians, and they're chuckling. They're enjoying it. And they take him, and I hear going down the hallway, as screams for help, getting further and further away. The very last thing that happened on this day, and I'm sorry for it taking so long, but this is one complete thing. I don't know where they took me down there. Next thing I know is they're bringing us back, and it's dark. It's dark outside. And they took us at about 11 o'clock in the morning. And they land, it's snowing a little bit. And we get out, and Sean and Mom are marched inside. And the tall gray stops me. And he goes, I want to talk to you. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm looking at him, and it's windy and snowy, and he's backlit by like an orange street light, and it's lighting up all the snow that's falling. And I'm just looking at him, looking up at him like this. And he says, "I know when we yelled at you earlier, it upset you. And we didn't intend to upset you. But you have to understand that when we put you somewhere, you have to stay right there. It's a matter of safety. Where you were walking, he said to me this, you could have hit something that would have killed your entire family.
Shit.
So we yelled at you and put you back. So that's why. So you have to just, when we take you, you have to stay where we put you. Now, go ahead inside. I'm like, okay. Went inside, and me and Sean were plopped on the couch. Mom was upstairs in bed, and the Grays walk out. And I said, wait a minute. What just happened? We have to talk about this. And I believe Sean was falling asleep. And he's like, yeah, I'm just really tired. And fell asleep on the couch next to me. And next thing I remember, the house is black. And my dad comes home. And he comes inside, and there's not a light on in the entire house. And he's angry. He's like, what the fuck? What's going on? Where is everybody? He's turning on light switches, kitchen, dining room. Comes in the living room, flicks it on, and there's the two of us on a couch. He's like, what the hell are you doing sitting in the dark? I'm like, I don't know. Where's your mother? Oh, she's upstairs. Has she been drinking? I said, no, she wasn't feeling well. And she went upstairs to lay down, and he stomps up the stairs. Rose, get up. Where's my dinner? Jesus Christ, I work hard all day. You're up here snoozing? And she's like, oh, my God, Bob, I'm so sorry. I was feeling ill. I had to lay down and get some sleep. Yeah. And she comes down the stairs scrambling. She's upset. She's in tears. And this is what housewives did in those days. And starts making his dinner. And I kind of covered for her, and I didn't say what had happened. But that was a long day for us. I'm sorry it took so long.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, that's a crazy ass story, man. I couldn't even imagine what to go through. It just sounds like they're just assholes, straight assholes. Like
we say they're somewhere between gods and assholes. That's exactly what they are.
That's crazy. So, do you think that they're interdimensional, or are they interplanetary? Like, what are they? Do you know? Or do you have an idea?
They're from somewhere, right? They're from some planet because
right.
They make ships out of metal.
Right.
There's wiring and all these elements. So, they're not floating in non-physical cloud of probability like a lot of people are claiming.
And what are you guys' take on the hearings? And
but anyway, I did see them materialize in that ship. So I have no problem believing it's an interdimensional thing. They're just they're above us.
Yeah, I don't know, is what I'd say. I wish I did know, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
if it weren't for me soberly observing that ship when I lowered the newspaper, I wouldn't have an opinion on it. But I know they don't travel like, all right, get the map out. Here's Neptune. Where's Neptune? How far are we away? I don't know, a couple inches. That's a short map.
Like, I'm not the most religious person in the world. I see the need for it. It's just not for me. But, the interdimensional being thing kind of explains angels and demons to me. That really explains it, especially in the Bible. And when you put it together, that would explain why we thought that they were angels. You know what I mean? So that would make sense. So it's all confusing to me. I was really impressed with Dylan Borland. I liked his testimony, but
he was all right. He's like, I can't get a good job now. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. That's inconvenient. They dragged my ass around wherever they fucking wanted to for decades and decades. I'm sorry you're having trouble getting a new job. Have you tried LinkedIn? So
have you tried LinkedIn?
I have a hard time weeping for that level of, the aliens have ruined my life. My resume, my credit rating fell 50%.
It's like the end of Men in Black when the UFO flies over a baseball field and whoever the player was, he's an outfielder, he's just staring at it and the ball hits him in the head and bounces over the wall for a home run. and the headline the next day in the newspaper says, "Aliens are ruining my life." Of the player.
Yeah, I'm all for that guy, and
ruin everything.
This latest round of hearings was a little more productive, but for Christ's sakes, I mean, let me know when they get to the point.
They'll never get to the point. They're not even allowed to use the word alien in any of these hearings. I don't know if you've noticed that. They'll go to extremes to not say the word alien. It's NHI or
there's a reason why they're doing it. I can't figure it out.
Not allowed. There's no way.
The government's not going to allow it.
They've locked it down. Certain things they're just probably not allowed to say. Certain words.
Biologic sounds like a fancy shampoo.
Right. I still say alien. I still say UFO. I don't say that in UAP bullshit.
Same thing. Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind that all these phrases have been carefully calculated to dilute whatever you're talking about, to make it more and more vague. First of all, UFO, the term was invented by the Air Force in 1953 because people were coming to them saying, they're a disc-shaped craft with windows and beings inside it. They're made out of metal, and they land. They go, oh, how about UFO? Well, what's that? Well, it's an unidentified flying object. Well, it's a flying object, but I just identified it. But you don't know who makes it. No. Well, then it's a UFO. Let's all start using that. Right. A deliberately vague acronym. And that's not weird enough. That's not vague enough for today.
What's your guys' take on the drones? So I'm sure you saw them where you are. I know I saw them all over all over Jersey. They were fucking everywhere last year. It's crazy.
But first, UAP, it's what is it?
Unidentified anomalous phenomenon.
An anomalous phenomenon. Oh, it's a phenomenon now. It's not even an object, and it's anomalous. It's not flying. It's a phenomenon. You know what a phenomenon was? Beatlemania was a phenomenon. Okay?
That's true.
Phenomenon is a word you'll read on like Playbill when your aunt goes to see cats. Catch the phenomenon, 82nd years running. The phenomenon also has a positive bias to it. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenon. And NHI is the most stupid acronym. I refuse to say it. Non-human intelligence. Well, then you must be talking about my cat.
Right.
Or my dog, or dolphins, or horses, or pigs, or chickens, or just about any other thing that lives.
It's just like everything's a drone.
Okay.
Everything's a drone.
Yeah. But about the drone, I have absolutely zero opinion. No opinion. I've never seen footage of one doing something spectacularly that goes against our understanding of aeronautics and flight. Never seen one. So I guess it's like this. I don't want
to comment on something somebody else took. I don't know. I mean, it's just, I can't say what they saw.
I am a little tired of seeing everybody out there with their cell phone taking pictures of airplanes and then posting, look at this alien ship. Well, I see the word Delta on the side of it. Yeah, well, they can disguise themselves as airplanes, dummy. Duh. And they fly along, and I don't know what they do. Let me know. It's just hard. They've been taking me since the Johnson administration. I can't get a hard on for some lights in the sky. I just can't. Are they drones? What do you think? Let me ask you. You were right there.
Okay, so I was filming them last year. I definitely saw things that weren't planes. I'm 49 now. I was 48 when I started filming them. And I witnessed my actual first UFO in the sky. It was flat, disc-shaped at first, turned to the side. It was C-shaped. I saw it drift across the sky. I was filming over here. It went that way. And I tried to catch it on film. I didn't. It was gone. And I did catch a lot of orbs while filming those things as well. So it was, every time I was out there filming something, I saw something different that just didn't make sense to me. And I was live streaming them, so you could see what I saw. So, it's weird. Some of them were planes for sure. Some of them were not, because some of them hover oddly. They do this weird floaty drift thing. It's fucking freaky. One of them pulse flashed my camera. You could see it at the top of the screen. It makes like a sound. and the screen flashes at the top. It's on a short that I have. I'll send it to you guys on Twitter. People are like, "Oh, it's a plane." I'm like, "Dude, it's not." I'm telling you, I know it sounds like a plane. That was not a plane that did that to my fucking screen. Like, that was just weird. It freaked me the fuck out.
I get it. I used to, in like 98, 99, 2000, I wouldn't go anywhere without a camcorder on me, because 98, this craft that looked like an office building flew over my head well after the 96 incident. I said, God damn it, I will never. Took my mom's camcorder and ended up getting some really good footage of some craft, and they were doing this kind of leapfrog thing over each other, and there were triangles that would come right at each other and almost touch, and it was pretty good footage, and it ended up on CBS News.
Nice.
Overnight. The CBS affiliate local was doing a story with MUFON, because there was a big spate right at January 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th of 2000. And when they called MUFON, they go, "Oh, you got to talk to Chris O'Leary. He's got footage." And so they came and they interviewed me, and you never know how they're going to handle that kind of thing, right?
Right.
Well, here's one from the wacky file, Susan. You won't believe this. A man thinks that, no, they declared it to be convincing evidence, and before the 11 o'clock news, every hour they were promoting my footage. And then after it aired at the 11 o'clock slot, CBS News nationally picked it up, and they ran it. It was CBS News overnight, and it went through the night, and they ran it about 6 times in the overnight hours. I was getting calls from wherever. So I get it. There are definitely things that are not planes, and there were no drones back when I was doing this. It just didn't exist.
Yeah, especially not the size of fucking cars. Like, I just couldn't believe the size of them. They're big. And again, I'm 49 now. I'd never seen anything. I've always been a believer in UFOs, always wanted to see them. Never did, and then finally I did, and it blew my mind. And to be honest with you, this goddamn thing's bothering me. To be honest with you, that's what got me doing this, talking to you and jumping on Twitter. It really piqued my interest. I was doing just the gaming thing for a while, and I just can't stop. I can't. I love talking to people. I love interviewing people, and I just love doing this. I'm a fireman in my professional life, and I love doing this on the side. I just really enjoy it.
Well, great. We're hoping we're able to fill in some gaps, and it's a tough subject. You're talking about a subject where 1 million people are talking about it,
mm-hmm.
and they don't know. It's
right.
It's like it's all. Can you imagine another profession where nobody's an expert, nobody knows?
Right.
Like, imagine plumbers. If plumbers had no idea how things work.
It's like a fucking weatherman's convention. It's like a weatherman's convention. You're all allowed to be wrong. You know what I mean? Everybody's allowed to be wrong. And not that I'm saying you guys are wrong. Please don't take it at that. I love giving people a platform to tell their story. That's why I'm doing this.
Well, we love it. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Sean, as I say, he's the star. He should tell you about the telekinesis experiments. But he may be the only police officer in the history of the world to have aimed his service weapon at a gray at point blank range.
Yeah, this is one I should probably.
You should.
Tell.
Yes.
As I stated earlier, I work the midnight shift. Often, late in the shift, I lived inside the city, so I would stop home and get a drink, use the restroom, maybe put the TV on for a couple of minutes. So I wasn't just sitting in the car all night and didn't have to go into the station. So I had a circular driveway, and that night I pulled in. I also had a courtyard that led up to my front door that had an open ceiling to it, a roof. So I pulled in the car to the circular driveway, got out, started walking towards the front door, and looked up and noticed 3 UFOs flying overhead from the north towards the south, and it was instant panic, followed by instant relief because they kept going. Like they just passed over me. I was like, oh, thank God they're not here for me. But as soon as I had that thought, the one on the left just kind of U-turned it around and came back. And at that point, I knew what was coming for me. And I really panicked at that point and started running for the front door and struggled to get it open. I had to use the key, get the door open. The trip going in, the screen door kept hitting my feet. And then I'd see the alien standing at the craft landed in the driveway in front of the police car. There were no cameras at the time in the car, but I couldn't see it because it was just beyond the courtyard. It blocked the view of the craft, but I knew it had landed there. And I drew my weapon and I pointed it in the direction, and there was one tall gray there. He had just turned the corner to come towards me. And once he saw me sitting there pointing the gun at him, he got incredibly offended and said, well, if you're going to be like that. And he turned around and started walking back to his craft. I got up for whatever reason. I felt embarrassed. I put my gun away and chased after him and said, no. And that's all I remember of the incident. So I assume I was taken at that point and just don't remember anything further.
God damn, that's crazy. You're lucky because I got a friend, actually. His name is Jeremy Ray. He used to work with MUFON. Now he's with the International UFO Bureau. And he basically said don't ever point any type of weapon at anything. Because
that's good advice.
Did that gray hustle away from you and your gun?
He didn't run. He was offended. There was no fear.
How dare he? How dare he?
I mean, he was really offended, is what I could feel.
Yeah,
that's
and the funny thing is, in that moment, he gets into Sean's head and turns him from somebody desperate to defend himself to an apologetic coming after him. Wait, I'm sorry. That's how powerful their mental control is.
Yeah, that's insane. Now, you were saying about a telekinetic incident?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your telekinesis? Because they had Sean do some things.
Yeah, there was one specific incident. They had me and they had another person who I won't name.
What the hell? Sorry about that. This stupid thing would try to kick me out of the studio. Sorry about that.
Yeah, stay in the studio. Yeah, just telling us.
Okay, I couldn't.
Yeah, it did the same thing to me. I was like, what the hell? I never had that before.
Like, have you guys been talking too much? I think we should.
How dare you speak?
Right.
Yeah, I was a child, and this other person there was a child. And we're in a larger circular room, and there's a tall gray standing behind me, and there's a tall gray standing behind the other kid who's off to my right side, maybe 10 or 15 feet away. And in front of us, they have these racks, and on these racks are these bars, similar to, say, a lacrosse stick. And you know how at the end of one, there's like the netting there. This had things on either side of it. It was probably 4 feet long. And these bars came up off of the racks and all of a sudden were spinning around. And at each end, they had what I remember as fire. I called these things fire sticks. I don't know if that's what they called them, but I remember I attached the name fire stick to them. Now, looking back, is it possible that it was a taser type instrument at each end and not an actual flame? That's possible. But I remember it as being fire. And so these fire sticks were spinning around in front of us, kind of like a wagon wheel. just a 2-spoke wagon wheel spinning around in front of us. And I didn't know what they wanted us to do with it. And all of a sudden, the one in front of me turned on its side and spun towards me and hit me in the side of the head by my ear on the left side of my head, and it hurt. Yeah. And the other kid, his was still just spinning in front of him. So I assumed he knew what he was doing. And I was asking the kid, how do you do it? And as soon as I asked that, the alien standing behind me takes his finger and touches the top of my head. And I feel an electric charge come into my brain. It goes straight down to what I would describe as the center of my brain, but maybe it really isn't. And it like jump starts a part of my brain, like a golf ball sized piece of my brain that I can feel. It almost feels like it's moving, or it's been awakened for the first time. And as soon as he does that, I'm able to control this stick, and I'm able to do it with ease. So I turn it kind of like a helicopter blade instead of a wagon wheel. So it's almost like what are those called that you throw and they come back?
Boomerang.
Boomerang, exactly. So I get it spinning around like a boomerang and spin it around the entire room behind us and around to the other side. And when it comes back around, they stop it in midair. And the one behind me, in somewhat of an excited tone, says to the other one, I've never seen anything like it. This is what we've been doing this for the entire time. And the other alien behind the other kid turns and says, I know, but also relays to him to calm down. So, I mean, he wasn't super excited either. I don't know why he had to tell him to calm down, but he did. He showed some excitement in it, and the other one had to tell him to calm down. And that's all I remember of that.
Wow. So have you ever been able to do anything like that, moving stuff with your mind outside of?
Oh, no. No, even there, I couldn't have done it on my own until...
Gotcha. You got the boost.
Yeah, I don't understand what it was, but it shows you how they can control the human mind to do whatever they want. Like that incident there, they touched my father on the side of his head to make him stay asleep.
Right.
And then they went over and touched my mother.
And then she went and phased through the wall. Yeah, that's insane. That's insane.
So, they can control your mind like a hacker can control your computer.
Wow. All right, gentlemen, I've had you for quite a long time. I don't want to keep you. Is there anything you would like to leave the people with? Where can they find you besides Twitter? I'm going to post all your links. So if you could send me all your Twitter handles and all your socials that you want public, I'll throw it all in the description. Where can people find you, and what type of message would you like to leave anybody watching? Any of your fans or your any fellow abductees, anybody, any type of advice you could give that could help them get through? Because clearly you two have been through a lot. I mean, holy shit, it's generational. It's insane.
The message I would want to pass on to people is don't expect disclosure. I could not fathom seeing that happen. There's, as long as they don't admit that there's alien activity here, people are only going to be concentrating on the craft. As soon as they admit there's alien craft flying around, people are going to start thinking of other questions as to what are they doing here? Who's inside them? Mm-hmm. Does this mean abductions are real? The public does not want to know from the government. They don't want the government to take the official position that alien abductions are happening. There's nothing we can do about it. And they're doing things to your children that you wouldn't want your neighbor to do.
Yeah, it's scary.
No, yet people would all of a sudden be frightened. It's not a bit. Nobody be celebrating. Nobody be celebrating. Woo! We found out they're here to give us free energy and make us a tuna fish sandwich.
That was a thing that I liked with Dylan Borland. He spoke out recently in a space on Twitter with that red panda guy, and he basically said, "Listen, disclosure is going to come from us. We're the whistleblowers. We hear you. We need your help, basically, and let's stick together." He's basically trying to stop all the bullshit infighting and saying, band together and use your voices, use your platforms to get disclosure out there. So basically, he's saying we, the people, meaning us, will have disclosure if we choose. But they keep us infighting. So that's to me, that's the dumbest thing.
You don't need the government,
right?
I'm going to be more specific. Disclosure comes from the abductees.
For sure.
Abductees are the only ones who know what they're talking about. We are frontline correspondents is what we are. We are witnesses. We are active participants in alien contact more often than you buy socks. We are the ones. People wouldn't know the word hybridization. They wouldn't know the word gray alien. They wouldn't know Mantis. That information comes just from us. And there are many of us. But we've been treated like the garbage, lunatic fringe of this field of study.
Well, because they slapped the word conspiracy on there. That's why. That's what they do. They slap the word conspiracy. That's what they do.
Well, it is conspiracy. I mean, let's just look at the facts.
Yeah, what do they believe? That these aliens have come here for 80 years minimum to simply fly around at treetop level and do nothing else?
Right.
They wouldn't land, and they wouldn't go in your house, and they wouldn't take you, and they wouldn't be doing all those things.
And we completely believe that these are alien craft that are here intelligently controlled, but there's no way possible that all these reports of interaction with them have got to be made up.
These congressional hearings, one of the reasons we came forward is out of spite. People, it's a sad day when answers have to come from us, okay? Mm-hmm. But apparently that's where we are. I heard no mention of alien beings, let alone telepathic alien beings,
right?
That are they're taking over.
Is the government going to tell you these beings can control a human's mind?
Can the president
do anything they want, regardless?
Can the president say, by the way, your daughters, well, they take them and sometimes they force them to carry hybrid alien embryos, and we can't stop them, then they're more powerful and we're at their mercy. God bless America. There would be suicides on every street is what would happen. People would go nuts and shoot their neighbors who are bald thinking they might be aliens. Yep. It would be the end of our civilization. That's why you will never have the government giving you full disclosure.
They're doing the right thing by not.
Yes, it's a big mistake. But
may I ask, do you two have children, and do you know if your kids have experienced any of this stuff? I don't mean to be nosy. I'm just curious.
I've done my best to prevent having children for this reason.
Yeah,
who knows how well my child will take it? It's definitely going to happen to him if I had one.
Right.
And God forbid it's a daughter. Who knows what they're going to do to her?
Yes.
And they might not be able to handle it as well as I have. Wow. So, no thanks. Go find another family.
I would have loved to have had a family. And I was lucky enough to have some long relationships with women who did. And, but I'm not going to keep this cycle going. I'm not going to subject children to that. No way. Now, as I say, just to finish up, disclosure from the government is a suicide. But disclosure from the grassroots is a positive disclosure. Because me, you look at me and you can dismiss me. That's fine. And I'm fine with it. I'm not in a position of authority, let alone the commander-in-chief. So, but it gets in. And the more people who say it, it'll get through. Mm-hmm. And this is, if there's time to stop it. And my last point would be, I think the sad fact of alien contact, everybody attached these wonderful, benevolent aliens. It's going to be great. If they can get here, they're going to be really advanced and really cool. But it looks like the rules out there are the same as the rules down here. And that is the strong take from the weak. They take what they want. They do what they want to the weak. They're Columbus. We are the tribes of the Americas. And we've got just about as much of a chance of stopping them, actually less.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's scary.
There are species, and what do species need? They need territory, and they need access to resources. And this planet is an enormous resources. It's the biodiversity, everything, and they want it, and they're taking it. And there's not much we can really do about it. And we are one of those resources. A lot of people think because we're abducted that they're abductees are their friends or they're teaching them. With Sean, yes, they were teaching him. But with a lot of us, it's just genetic resources that they can create hybrids who can live here from. But so watch out. There are no good aliens. The bad thing about the good aliens is there are no good aliens. There are these guys.
I would also say that if your children are coming to you and saying that people are coming in the middle of the night and taking them, or strange beings are coming, they're not making up a monster story. It's a possibility that aliens are coming to get them. It's a possibility. I'm not saying they are.
Well, I don't think my kids have ever told me those stories, but yeah, let me. I'll be wary because fuck, I got 4 of them and it scares me. You know, like their safety is my primary concern always, and it's just.
Of course.
That's all that I think about. And gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure to
meet
meet
you, Vito. Awesome. We finally connected, and I thank you for wonderful questions. And